Tracy Chamber of Commerce. I will be the moderator this evening, and I would like to welcome our mayor candidates and all of you that are joining us this evening. First, Chamber of Commerce. I will be the moderator this evening, and First, I would like to thank the Tracy Press, Workvine 209, for co-hosting the Mayor Candidate Forum with the Tracy Chamber of Commerce. This forum is to give the residents an opportunity to get to know the candidates. We will be taking questions. Please email dwight@tracychamber.org, or you can ask on live on the chat here. I would also like to read the rules for the format this evening before we get started. So candidates, you will have 3 minutes for your opening statement. Just so everybody knows, each candidate has drawn a number. So we have put them in the numeric order as what they have drawn. And we will continue the evening as whatever number they've drawn, and we'll just rotate through. So after your opening statement, which you will get 3 minutes to say, then we will continue on, and there will be general questions from the community, and you'll be asked, each of you will be asked that question. After number 1 answers, Jazz will go first, and then we will do the next question. We'll start with Nancy, and then the next question will go to number 3, and we'll just rotate that way. So each of you will have the opportunity to start first. Once we get through the questions, we have quite a few of them. So if it gets too late, then we will probably won't be able to get through all the questions, but we will try to do our best. And then our closing statement, you will get 2.5 minutes each to do your closing statement. So now I would like to introduce our candidates. And we're going to start with Jazz. She drew number 1. So we have Jazz Senga. Number 2, we have Nancy Young. Number 3, we have Dan Ariola. And number 4, Abdul Wahid. So now we are going to start. I hope everybody out there is ready. Again, if you have any questions, please do them through chat. You can send them to Darcella Wright at the chamber, or you can ask on Facebook. We're monitoring all sites. So I'm going to start with Jazz. Jazz, please. The other thing I want to remind everybody is please put your computer on mute if you are not talking, so that way we don't have any crossover on sound. Otherwise, Jazz, if you can unmute, we're going to go ahead and you can start by, oh, one more thing. This is very important, sorry. Our 15-second warning. So we have Marcella back there with a little fan. It's going to have a 15-second warning. She's going to wave that to let you guys know you need to wrap up, and then she's going to show the other side when your time is up. So please kind of pay attention to Marcella, look up, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So Jazz, go ahead with your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for the Tracy Chamber and the Tracy Press to entertain us today. I want to start with, I don't have 3 minutes, but I just definitely want to take a minute to start with saying thank you to those who have served us. Definitely the firefighters, law enforcement, people who have been taken care of during this COVID, the doctors, the nurses, the janitors. And I want to say thank you to my family, my friends, my team. And that all being said, I also want to say a big shout out to the teachers. I wouldn't be sitting here without the help of my teachers who gave me the best education possible out there. And now talking about the political stuff. Yes, my name is Jazz Senga. And I'm a Tracy resident for a little over 20 years. I'm a business owner. And the reason I'm holding this thing is it's coming off my ears. Maybe my ears are too small, but bear with me. The reason I started to think about running for mayor, which was last year after talking to my friends, is looking at what's going on around us. We are one of the best cities, no doubt about it, but there is always room for improvement. When I'm talking about that, I'm referring to making Tracy one of the most friendliest city when it comes to not only public safety, but also to being business friendly. I'm pretty much known for being a straight shooter. You get, what you see on me. I'm not catering to any special interest. My whole agenda to run is for Tracy. I'm a people person. I have volunteered at many places. And I've been on the Planning Commission, which made me understand and learn things from the perspective of someone who's an outsider, but who understands the inside of how the city runs. I will be more than happy to take any of your questions, but I do want to say here that this is something that I take very seriously. I've been working with a lot of people and I have met over 900 people in person. And if anybody has any personal questions, they have usually called me, talked to me, texted me, emailed me. I respond to everyone. And that is why I say that I'm very accountable, I'm accessible, and I'm going to be, and I have always been fiscally responsible. Again, I'd say thank you to those who have stood by me, who have supported me, my team, a big shout out to them, my friends, and everybody else. The game just started, so let's go on, and I'm here for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jess. All right, we're going to move on to Amber. Make sure you're unmuted.
I am. Thank you. Can you hear me? All right. Hi. Hello to everyone. Thank you so much to the Chamber and to Workfind 209 and to Tracy Press for hosting this event, this forum tonight, and giving us all the opportunity to speak to our community. As all of you know, if you didn't already know on the screen, my name is Nancy Young, and I'm asking you to vote for me for mayor of Tracy now in 2020. This year has been one of so many changes, so many fluctuations, and we have learned how to be flexible. This is a time, though, in our world right now, not only our world, but our country, our state, our city is so uncertain. We have so much instability and just unsure about our future. At this time, we need a collaborative, transparent, knowledgeable, and experienced leader that you can trust. Yes, we all want change to one degree or another. We want to change from negativity to positivity. We want to change from division to unity. We want to change from fear to hope. We want to change from our economic challenges to prosperity and stability. We want to face tomorrow knowing that our leaders are honestly working for our best interests. This is not a time for leaders with just a good idea or good intentions, but a proven track record and experience so that we don't return to the pitfalls of the past. A leader who will thoughtfully move forward, honoring our Tracy rich history and utilizing all of our voices to bring us into our bright future. I am vested in this community since I've been here since 2006, and I'm proud to have gained the respect and trust of numerous Tracyites who's been here many generations. Before I was elected to any office here in Tracy, I ran my own mentor program for Tracy Youth. I joined and continue to faithfully serve in a number of organizations, including the Tracy African American Association, the Kiwanis Club of Tracy, including being a key club advisor, as well as leading a mentor program at Kimball High School, the Student Discovery Program, the past 10 years, being a part of the Sow a Seed Community Foundation, being a part of the Boys and Girls Club of Tracy, being an advocate for the Tracy Senior Golden Agers, among others. We definitely have a lot of challenges, yes, here ahead of us. Fiscal stability, including jobs, safety, affordable housing, and infrastructure, just to name a few. But with every decision, I can promise you that I will continue to focus on you, our community. You are the lifeblood that makes this city work. As I have done these past 8 years on council and the past 2 years as Mayor Pro Tem, I will continue to prove that your voice matters. Everyone's voice matters. Seniors, your voice matters. Youth, your voice matters. Adults, your voice matters. I'm proud I've moved here with my family, and I am just so thrilled and thankful that my children, who all started between kindergarten and high school, they are high school graduates from West High School, and they're all in their early 20s now. I'm grateful for James, Benjamin, Michael, Lydia, and Nathaniel, who have been my support system. I'm thankful to family and friends because everyone has been there to support me along the way. So I ask you to remember to vote for Nancy Young for Tracy Mayor. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on to Dan Ariola.
Muted. Can you hear me? All right. My name is Dan Ariola, and I am proud to currently serve all of you as a council member for the city of Tracy and as Deputy District Attorney for San Joaquin County. I'm a former Tracy School Board member. I'm a former small business owner. I'm a former civil rights attorney. What I am incredibly proud of the fact is that I grew up here, that this is my hometown in the city of Tracy. I went to Jacobson Elementary School, Monte Vista Middle School, and I am a proud graduate of West High School. Unfortunately, however, my story is a little bit different than your kind of typical, stereotypical Tracy experience. By the time I was 13, I was working as a janitor and house cleaner just to put food on the table and take care of myself and my family. And I promised myself then that if I ever made it, I'd give back to the community. So what I did is I pursued an education. I went on to UCLA, where I graduated as the political science valedictorian, then went on to USC Law School, where I earned a doctorate and I was student body president. Then I immediately came back home here to Tracy because I knew that this was the community that I wanted to serve. As a council member, I have been incredibly proud of my record and the experience that I've had in passing innovative policies. During my time on council, I've championed efforts to pass the first ever homelessness strategic plan, to raise the LGBT pride flag for the first time ever, to legalize commercial cannabis, to introduce green renewable energy, to approve the first affordable housing development in over 20 years, and to introduce historic policy with the Equity and Empowerment Initiative, which I helped co-author to ensure social equity in the city of Tracy, to make sure that each and every city law, program, and service is equitable for all residents of the city of Tracy. Well, my commitment to you is to continue those efforts, is to continue being forward-thinking and innovative and bringing the city of Tracy into the future. My priorities as the mayor of the city of Tracy are to ensure public safety, to rebuild our economy and infrastructure, to ensure government accountability, and to bring workforce housing. With those efforts, I truly believe that we will be able to secure a better future for all members of the city of Tracy. And if that is the type of vision that you agree with for mayor, then I would encourage you to vote Dan Ariola for mayor of the city of Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right, next is Abdul Wahid.
Good evening and hello, Tracy. As we begin, I would like to thank all those who are working during this pandemic, the long hours, day and night to keep us safe. To those who have lost loved ones, I can feel your loss and pain. My thoughts and prayers are with you all, and let's continue to show the strength of the human race. Thank you to Tracy Chamber of Commerce and Tracy Press for the invitation to this gathering of the mayoral candidates. And to those who are tuned in, thank you as well for taking time out of your day to help facilitate Tracy as the way we know it. I am Abdul Wahid, and I am running for the mayor of Tracy. I am your friendly neighbor, and I'm also a long-time resident of Tracy. For 25 years, I've seen Tracy grow. We went from close to 20,000 people city in 1995, approaching 200,000 in 2020. There are more cars now than ever. We have way more streetlights today than in the past years, and we have seen tons of development for housing. We have changed a lot, but one thing has remained constant. We are still a bedroom community. As we have grown over the years, the need for development has also grown. My hope is to see what I call a connected Tracy. For years, the power of people has not been heard of here. It's time we change that. The city is for the people, and it should always be for the people. Over the past few years, we have seen neglect from our elected officials when it comes to the views of this city. My vision is totally different. I want to see a connected community filled with happy residents who have their voices heard. Some of the problems that arise today here are overcrowding, safety and security, traffic congestions, depleting infrastructures, inadequate health services, beyond the reach housing market, education, and homelessness. I'd like to see these problems taken care of with proper planning and programs to protect our neighborhood. COVID-19 has identified one major problem that we face, along with one major problem we have faced, the lack of hospital to cover up the number of people getting sick. My goal is to basically go for a new full service hospital that has the ability to do research and development. I also insist on a plan to encourage public private partnerships for commercial enterprises and light rail systems. Let's make Tracy better, smarter, and more enjoyable place to live in. Please go and check my website, www.mayor2020election.com, for more in-depth information and the topics of discussion today. Let's get together and ask the tough questions to us. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all candidates for your opening statements. Now we're going to start with our general questions from the community. And we are going to go ahead and start with Jazz Sanya, number one. And then from there, Nancy, you'll go next. You'll all have 2 minutes to answer the same question. The first question is, as many of you know, previously Notre Dame de Namur University was in Tracy downtown, and unfortunately it no longer is. Do you have any plans on inviting another university to come to Tracy in the future? If so, how will you help make that happen? And we'll start with Jazz. And make sure you unmute.
So thank you for the question, Tamra. Yes, it's really sad that we had to experience that, but Notre Dame had to leave here. They were offering some very good classes, and it was really good for people who were going there in the evenings after doing their work in the daytime. So it's very simple, I think. When we talk about that, every city has to have some kind of opportunity or some kind of incentive when you're inviting somebody to come to your city. What are we giving up? What are the incentives we are giving them? Whether it's a business, it's a university, or anybody else who, a company, anybody we ask them to come to us. I would say, personally, myself, it's easier said than done, but everything is possible if you put your hard work in there. I would definitely see that if any university is coming, the city can work with them and give them some land, and we can say, you know, we are providing you the land if you can provide the infrastructure and the buildings and all that. It does bring more jobs, so it's good for everybody. It's good for our students who have to travel all the way to Sacramento and Modesto, or even for Los Positos over the hill. We have Delta College. We have another branch in Mountain House, which is good. But Tracy is growing, so the best way to bring somebody in here is to give them incentives, tax incentives. We did give them to Amazon. We did give it to Macy's. So there is always chances to work, come to the table, have a negotiation where we can ask people to work with us. And the biggest thing I think in this day and age is about infrastructure. If we have the infrastructure to follow, if we have anything that can bring the university to a stand where we can say, yes, we can work with you. It's always, like I said, you know, something sounds very good. Just because it sounds good doesn't mean that it would always work. I am in favor of bringing in a university. It's always good to have higher education locally. My biggest thing is the city has to work. We have to provide them with some kind of incentives, which definitely includes the land or some kind of benefit where we can say that, hey, you know what, we will have this much money for you. So I think that's my best way of describing it, that incentives is the best thing to bring, how to bring the university. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jazz. We will go to Nancy. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Yes.
Okay. As many of you know, previously Notre Dame de Namur University was in Tracy downtown, and unfortunately it no longer is. Do you have any plans on inviting another university to come to Tracy in the future? If so, how will you help make that happen?
Education it's key, and I think all of us can agree on that. As far as our economics, it affects our economics here. It affects our jobs. Attracting head of household jobs here, it really depends on us having an educated workforce. And many people know that people, when they go away to college, a lot of times they actually stay where they went to college. I'm from Los Angeles, but when I moved up here and I went to UC Berkeley, I ended up building my life here in Northern California. And such as my daughter, when she went away to college and on the East Coast, she decided to stay out there and build her life there as well. But what we need to do is we need to have education here. So a university being here is absolutely fundamental. We have actually been fighting for that for years. As was mentioned already before, Delta College, it slipped through the cracks. We did not get that. Even talking about a UC coming into our area, I was even fighting not just to go to Stockton, but to come here to Tracy, because we need it here for our community and to help build up the economic structure that we have here. As well as that, students are important at all levels, whether they're young or whether they're older. And we need to be able to give our young people, even as they're graduating high school, that opportunity to be able to go to school locally and to be able to reintegrate back into our communities once they do. So the university itself, when Notre Dame was brought here, it was brought through a consortium. It was a concerted effort of several entities, several people that worked together to bring that here. So it's not just cut and dry. It is a complicated process, but at the same time, I am totally committed to making sure that whatever we need to do to have that discussion, to be able to provide those opportunities for university to get here, I will absolutely do that. And I do agree that there will be incentives that will be needed to be able to do that. We can look at different land that we have, different sources, different tax structures, different sharing opportunities. And so it just really depends on that. And so absolutely in support of that.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, we'll move over to Dan Ariola. And do you need me to repeat the question? Okay, thank you. Make sure you're unmuted.
All right. I believe that education is vital. And I know for so many people, including myself, it really is that opportunity that can break cycles of poverty for generations. And so I think this question is really twofold. And I think we really need to discuss the difference between the private and the public sector with regards to a university. With regards to a private university like Notre Dame and more, we really need to be working with our economic development team to ensure that we're targeting those regional private universities who would be interested in coming out to the Central Valley because of the resources that we have available here, the incredible land that we have here. Every time you're looking at the Bay Area, they're running out of land, and we have it here in the city of Tracy. So we do need to encourage those economic incentives and work with those universities that we have targeted to bring out here to ensure that we can have a private university. And I think that will be fundamental and will enact huge change for the city of Tracy. With regards to a public university, many people don't know that when it comes to public universities, they're evaluated in terms of regional metropolitan areas. The city of Tracy is a portion of the Stockton metropolitan region, and we are actually, because of the city of Stockton's metropolitan region, we are the largest metropolitan region in the nation without a public university nearby. And I think that that is huge, and there's an incredible opportunity there. And I myself have spoken with and worked with state legislators to really make sure that we have a CSU San Joaquin County. The closest universities are public universities are in Sacramento, Stanislaus, and East Bay. But that is simply not good enough. We absolutely need a public university here in San Joaquin County and ultimately here in the city of Tracy. What I will commit to is to continue engaging and lobbying with our statewide officials to go to Sacramento, make sure that it is a priority for the governor. And I will continue the efforts just as I have before when I've gone to DC to lobby for other efforts, because for me, education is vital and it provides incredible opportunities. And that is the mechanics that we need to overcome that brain drain where people leave and don't come back. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Dan. Abdul, do you need me to
No,
reread the
thank you.
question? Okay, thank you.
That's a very good question. Education is very vital for any developing cities. First of all, now, if we are coming here to sleep at the night time, when do we get the time to go to university after we come back from work? First of all, let's fix the problem that we are in right now. As I said, let's do some research and development in the hospital and in the healthcare environment. Once you have people coming in with that knowledge of research and development, universities will come in because now they have got a place where they can get the students, they train, they go back and do the work. If we don't build those kind of things, we'll still be a place where people come and sleep, and the universities will come and go, because at the end of the day, private universities, they want revenue coming in. If nobody's coming in, why should I come over here? Public universities, now when the kids get out of the high school, the nearest place they can go is across the Ultimate Pass down towards Las Positas, or even go down to the Bay Area, and they never come back. I've had that experience with my kids. I don't want any other kids to do that. So my goal is basically this. First of all, let's fix the infrastructure. The infrastructure is really important. What kind of connectivity we have got, what kind of interface we have got, how do people interact with each other. Secondly, let's make walkable place in Tracy. Let's people come and walk over here rather than going out to Bay Area and come back home and don't have time to go to school. So once we invest into getting work into Tracy, universities will definitely come, and we don't have to go and basically incentivize why you want to come, because there is people over here, they'll come and provide the services. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul. All right, we're going to go to question number 2. Number 2, Nancy, you'll be able to start and you'll have 2 minutes, and then we'll go ahead and rotate. Number 2, what are your thoughts on making Tracy a more bike-friendly city? Even today, I read in the Tracy Press that a father was struck by a car while cycling and passed away.
That is sad. So about a bike-friendly city is what we're looking at. There is connectivity throughout Tracy that we all should be concerned about, because we have goods movement that goes through with trucks, we have cars that go through, we have pedestrians that go through, and we have bikes. And what we've done already, we already have begun on it's MacArthur and even down some of our other side streets where I think it's Valpico, where we have the green striping. A number of years ago, I'm a part of the SAFE board, which is a part of the SACOG group in Sacramento that deals with transportation, and we deal with the call boxes 511 alongside the freeway. But we had different opportunities and different ones to come in and tell us about different things for transportation. And so they actually came and talked to us about these green stripes that actually built a larger buffer between pedestrians, bicyclists, and also vehicles. And so it's very important that we have that connectivity as we're walking, as we're bicycling. This is about being bike friendly. So it's very important, though, that we have those safety buffers and the measures so that people can ride continuously. It's important that different ones actually have bike to work programs, and they need to be able to be safe on the streets just as well as people walking or people driving. So it's important that all these things, that everything works together. There's a number of strands, like I said, that work together, and we need to be conscientious of all of it so that they work seamlessly together and people can get from one destination to another. It's tragic with any of our citizens are killed, whether it's in a car or whether it's on a bike or whether it's walking. I know people that have died in motorcycle accidents even recently, but it's very important that we have the things marked out through our infrastructure planned out so that we can continue to move in that direction. And we already are moving in that direction, and I foresee that we will continue as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, Dan, you're up.
Thank you. I am absolutely in support of a bike-friendly city policy. For those of you who don't know, actually, I was able to support Councilmember Veronica Vargas in her motion to reevaluate a master bike plan. It is something that will be upcoming for the future Tracy City Council, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work on those efforts to make sure that we do have a bike-friendly city. Many of you do know that, unfortunately, last year I was involved in a car accident. I was struck by a car, so I truly know firsthand the dangers of what it can be to be a pedestrian. And for me, I think it's incredibly important that we work to have a city that is focused on smart growth. And for those of you who don't know, smart growth, it's not just the kind of typical descriptor. Smart growth refers to a set of policies that opposes urban sprawl, that centralizes the development of a particular city and urban planning so that it is walkable, so that you can walk to your job, it's attached to public transportation, to the grocery store, so you can live, work, and play in an area all without a car. And those are some of the things that we are purporting to do in the city of Tracy. And I absolutely support initiatives that would continue to push those, because I believe that those are the policies of the future. And I believe that when we ensure that we have a walkable town, when we have a bicycle-friendly town, and we have less cars on the road, what we're actually doing is not only having an increase in the quality of life for our residents, but we're also focusing on supporting efforts to oppose climate change. I don't know if you've looked outside, but again, we have gray skies, and it's been months since we've had blue skies consistently, and we really need to take efforts, even at the local level, to make sure that we're fighting for that. So I absolutely am support of bike-friendly policies. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right, Abdul.
Any kind of fatality on the road is a sad thing. And for me, this is very personal to me also. As I said, no, I have a vision. As I said, we have got this whole place congested. Today, we'll probably get another 5,000 people coming in with the new development going on in the housing market. So multiply by two, there's 10,000 cars on the street. What are we doing for that? My vision is let's build a light rail system grid. With a light rail system grid, first of all, we're getting cars out of the road. Secondly, we have jobs coming into the city over here. Third, we have got a clean environment where people can basically walk around without even worrying about the air quality we have got over here. Third, we don't want to have these heavy vehicles coming into our town. One time I sat down with one of the council members and said, no, 5 o'clock in the morning, you see these semi trucks going through the city. What policies we have got? And I was told that, oh, we don't know that. Well, come on, wake up at 5 o'clock, see what is going on in the city. Don't just sit down as a council member and say, I'm just here a council and have questions. My goal is let's make it more friendly, more connected, put cameras around the places where people can walk freely without having any fear of getting mobbed around. So getting a connected city with connected environment and the families together, and it becomes a friendly environment so people can hop on, hop off the light rail system, and they can move wherever they want to move. We have less cars and more people coming in. I don't have a problem. So bicycle lanes are great, but if there are a lot of cars on the road, we'll still have fatalities. So let's fix the problem of overcrowding, congestion on the road. Then we can look at the bicycle lanes.
Thank you. We have questions coming in, so I'm looking at another screen, which is very exciting. We have a lot of people watching right now. So we're going to go to question number 3. And we are, oh, I'm sorry, Jazz. I apologize. Go ahead.
No worries. I should have let it slide, but hey, you know what? I just want to say something very respectfully. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay, sorry about that. So what I'm trying to say is, when we're talking about walkability, we're talking about the bicycle lanes, and we're talking about all of the connectivity issues. Let's be practical. There is a lot of things we can say that we can do it. Do we have the money to do it? And do we have the policies to follow through that? I was at the candlelight vigil for the gentleman who passed away last week, and I saw his family, especially his daughter, crying. And you don't have to witness something so close to home, or you don't have to have a tragedy to learn a lesson. When we are planning something, when it's coming to the planning commission, I want to give a shout out to my planning commission. When I was with all the good team we had there, we always looked at things like that. We always looked at things at connectivity. We always looked at the traffic congestion, the EIR report. So let's start from the beginning instead of coming to the end and then looking back. Lessons learned. When you move forward, what are we doing different? If you keep doing the same things and looking for a different result, that's not going to happen. So when we're bringing in the new construction, when we're bringing in the new homes, if you go to Tracy Hills and Alice and all those new homes, they have a real good setup, which I appreciate. Even in many other, I'm not trying to give a free advertisement to anyone here. I'm just saying that people who are building new, keep that in mind. In the older areas where we don't have it, people just be a little bit mindful, be careful, care about each other. We are all in a rush. That's the lifestyle we live in. So instead of, I don't like to blame people on the council, previous council, next council. What I'm saying is it can only be done if you start right from the very beginning. That's when it comes to the planning commission. Do it right, follow through. New construction, when it's coming in, make sure that it's connected. Thank you.
Thank you, Jazz. All right, I jumped ahead there for a minute. Now we're going to go to question number 3, and we're going to start with Dan. The question is, what previous leadership experiences make you ready for leading as a city council member, or I'm sorry, as a mayor member of Tracy?
I think for myself, and I get this question a lot of times, as you all know, I'm the youngest elected official ever in Tracy. But I think for myself, I have a unique perspective because personally, not only was I raised in the city of Tracy, I have 30 years of experience having grown up here, but also when I came back, I am the only candidate for mayor of the city of Tracy who has experienced a plethora of different positions, public positions here in the city of Tracy. I started off my public service here as a commissioner for the Youth Advisory Commission here in the city of Tracy. I was elected to the Tracy School Board. I have served as a Tracy city council member. I've also been on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce. I've worked with other nonprofits. I was a former business owner and having my own law firm. And those diverse experiences have really allowed me to have a lived experience in which I understand not only what it's like to have to grow up here, what it's like to have to grow up here and live here when you're under circumstances of poverty versus when you're an established adult, and also the different perspectives I've had from each and every different position that I've held prior to my time on the Tracy City Council. And I think that those particular experiences and that ability to understand what it's like to be a youth and a middle-aged person and to experience a range of positions really suits me beneficially. And I think that I have a very unique perspective to introduce a new generation of leadership and the policies that come along with it to secure a better future for all here in the city of Tracy.
Thank you, Dan. Abdul?
That's a great question. You know, politics doesn't require a degree. You are a leader from the day you are born. It's how you deal with the people, how you interact with the people, how you motivate the people, how you take them to the next level. I was a coach for Tracy Youth Soccer League. And when I was coaching the kids who are under 5, under 8, you could see the glitter in their eyes that there is a person who's going to lead them to the right path. Who's going to lead them to the right, going to give them the right type of coaching. This is what I bring to the table. I bring my coaching experience to the table. Secondly, I was the founder of Tracy Islamic Center here in Tracy. When I first moved to Tracy in 95, there was no Islamic Center. I was the one who basically started from the foundation, wrote the constitution, bylaws, bought the property, gave it to the center, and let's say, hey, let's move on. Now we are a vibrant, about 3,000 people coming in over here. We are running out of space. We're still moving forward. And I've left it to the people to lead the place. Third, I am also on the Measure V. I'm a chairperson for the Measure V Oversight Committee. And the reason why I got in there was because, I go down to the meetings for the last 2 years to the city council meeting. I see the same thing happening day in, day out. So for me, in order to change the whole concept about this area, let's get into the system. So I took a position as a voluntary position in Measure V, became the chairperson of the Measure V this year, and I am leading with examples. I want to make sure that I deal with everybody, everywhere, every place, so that it's a people-friendly person. You can knock on my door. I can say, how are you on the street? So let's get together. And leadership doesn't require to be a degree in any kind of political science or politics, basically. So together, as I said, let's be what we can do for the city right now. With you and me, we can all be the leaders. I want to hear from you, and let's give the city back to you. Tell me what to do, and we'll follow the examples that you want me to do it. So again, let's move forward together as one without telling who can lead or who cannot lead. Thank you.
Are you guys?
Thank you. Jazz?
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So I am the one that's running businesses right now, not before, not after, not something like that. I've been in Tracy for over 20 years. So I usually don't like to brag about myself, and I'm not on the Facebook all the time telling every little thing that I do with somebody just saying that she did this or he did that. But I'm a people person. What we need right now, we need the leaders who are connected to the people. And I like to listen, and I like to literally go and speak to people, not just sit somewhere and ask people to come to me and then tell them, you know what, your time's over, go away, next. We're not standing in a DMV line. So excuse my bluntness, so let me explain myself a little bit better here. So I have volunteered at the Sutter Hospital for over 4 years. I've been in business for over 20 years. I've been in Tracy and in business for almost 20 years now. And to see what's going on with COVID, how many of our elected officials or how many of these people have really experienced that an average business person is experiencing? How many of these people who are claiming, I'm not pointing anyone, I'm just talking in general, really has to know how many people have they talked to in person, have felt what it does feel to be a regular average person here in Tracy when you feel like you need help and you really don't get any help neither from the city hall or from any county officials or even from the state. So not being critical about others, I'm only going to talk about myself. How am I qualified? I was on the planning commission for almost 6 years. I am told that I'm an outsider, but I'm the outsider with the inside knowledge. I have a lot of experience dealing with people one-on-one. Again, I have been on numerous nonprofit organizations as a board member. I cannot and I should not be starting to list all that because that's self-serving. At the end of the day, you need to see who can you connect with, who is really there for you, who is not working for a select few, and who is working for the people. So when you talk about the people, for the people, by the people, let's put it forward and let's talk about it very openly. Hopefully you guys can ask me more questions in the coming hour or so where we can talk about it. But I here totally hold the position where I'm totally, completely for the people, not doing anything for any special interest. Thank you.
Thank you, Jazz. All right, we'll move on to Nancy.
Okay, so thank you for this particular question. It's so many things. It's hard to know kind of where to start. The reality of it is that I started from a young person, really concerned about people having a voice and myself actually being able to contribute to an environment, everything that surrounded me, and being able to give a voice to that. So that led me to become a safety monitor in the 2nd grade. I went on to become student body president in high school, editor of the yearbook. I've held so many leadership positions as I grew up, even in my church. I was the youth president. I was one of the youngest ordained ministers in the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World. And then the thing is, as I've grown older, I've always just really tried to seek out opportunities to help others, to mentor others. I've had my own mentor program. So I've been a nonprofit director. I've had my own business. I've lobbied many times here in the city now that I've been on the council for 8 years. But prior to that, just to back up for a moment, for 4 years, I educated myself by sitting in the council meetings regularly for 4 years before I was elected to the city council, to learn about the issues, to be concerned about what was going on. And before I was even elected to anything, I decided that I really wanted to be a part of my community and see where I could be a benefit. And that's how I ended up being a part of Tracy African American Association, being a part of the Boys and Girls Club of Tracy, being a part of the Kiwanis Club. And then from there, leading the Student Discovery Program at Kimball, like I said, for the past 10 years. And also being a part of the Golden Agers to be able to advocate for seniors. It's the relationships that I've built since I've been on council that is very crucial and important to be able to get things done in our city. The relationships I built with our county leaders, with our state leaders, with our federal leaders, and the many commissions that I've served on, the Mega Region Transportation, DVI, ACE Board, SJCOG. It's a lot of things now that it's important to be able to have those relationships so that I can hit the ground running to be the best leader for Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, now we will go to number 4. I'll ask the question. Abdul, you're up to go ahead and answer first. What are your thoughts on Tracy getting an aquatic center?
Good question. Aquatic center. Yes, we need entertainment, we need activities for the kids, for the people to come down over here. I am not looking for an aquatic center just to go and swim and get out. I'm looking at an aquatic center where I can get my youth to compete to the level that one day they can go and represent themselves in the state, national, or even Olympic level. That is my goal. So building an aquatic center, let's not go half cut and say, hey, no, let's build an aquatic center. Let's build a quality aquatic center. And when we build a quality aquatic center, we need to have quality coaches. We need to have quality places to go down over there. And we also need to have people motivated for that. Yes, Measure V Fund has got money for that one. But again, as I said, this COVID-19 has completely changed the whole plan we want to do. But as aquatic center is good, let's do it. Let's build it. Let's move forward because Tracy needs something like that. I know Manteca has got one coming up over there for entertainment, but let's make some Olympic kind of place where people can come and visit and do compete over here at the same time. It's an incentive for youth to basically go and train and become the Olympians of tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Jazz, we'll go to you next.
Aquatic Center here in Tracy. So it definitely sounds better and sounds really good to have Aquatic Center here in Tracy. We definitely want to be, people friendly again, give it for the youth, especially for the youth. I'm totally in support of a swimming pool that is at the level of competing level where people can come and compete at the county or even the state level. But let's talk about money here. Do we have the money? We're talking about Measure V. If you're putting all the money of Measure V into Aquatic Center, what about other amenities that are half done? What about Legacy Fields, which needs to be finished? What about some other things for senior centers? I know the library belongs to the county and it does not belong to the city, but there are so many other things that can be done with the Measure V money. We're talking about $55 to $65 million going into one thing. A lot can be done. If it's a private investment, somebody wants to put $55 million in there, go for it. I have no problem. When it comes to taxpayers' money, I do have a problem because we want to do things those are sustainable. And then you have to pay first. The city will pay for making that, and then the city residents will pay to use it. I'm a people person again. It all goes back to the taxpayers. I'm definitely supporting having a pool in there. That is a good idea. But for the city to go ahead and spend everything that we have on the Measure V for one thing, which is Aquatic Center, that will take 4 years. Is it going to be sustainable? Is it going to be something that's everybody's going to be using it? And we still have to pay money to get in there. So that's a double dip. We use the taxpayers' money, and then you pay to go use something that you paid for. Let's finish what we started first, and let's not get carried away because everything has to be practical. Just don't go with what sounds good. Let's do what's good. Just because you can do it shouldn't mean you should do it. The ethical thing is to take care of all the citizens of Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Jazz. Okay, we'll go to Nancy. Do you need me to repeat the question?
Thoughts on Tracy getting an aquatic center? Thank you. I'll go ahead and answer the question. Yes, Measure V, as has already been mentioned, is very, very important. I'm sorry. Can I continue? Okay. Thank you. I worked very, very hard to champion Measure V that came on the ballot in 2016. This was actually out of a need for amenities that we needed within our community. At the time that I came onto the city council, we did have one main thing in effect, and that was Legacy Fields. And that was to serve a certain segment of our community. But what I found was that we were lacking in amenities to cover all of our community. So not just the fields, but also gymnasium, also aquatics. Aquatics was something that goes back years prior to me. Tracy Tomorrow, a lot of different ones that worked on that to get it to the point where it is now. So short line to the end here, we see that Measure V has provided the opportunity for different amenities to be able to service all of our community. And so to date, we've already spent almost $40 million on Legacy Fields. And then now we're set to actually break ground and to build our aquatic center. Yes, it may take 4 years out, but it's actually 4 years since the time that we got it passed. And so I'm so excited that we're actually going to start to bring some other things to fruition, not just for the competitors, not just for the competition pool, but actually for our entire community. The aquatic center services from little children all the way to seniors. It's a family-oriented place, as well as a gymnasium that can actually fulfill others' needs, year-round sports, things that can actually be inside day and night to be able to service all of our community. So the aquatic center is definitely a piece of that puzzle. It's something that we're working on now, and we need to stay forward, moving forward to get it accomplished, to get it opened, and so that many people within our community that gets really, really hot during even this week over 100-degree temperatures, so that we can go out and enjoy that as family, as individuals, and as sports. So I do absolutely believe that we need to move forward with that. And I just want to make mention that the senior center was expanded also with Measure V funds. And like I said, aquatic center is just a piece of that puzzle, and absolutely we need to move forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, we'll go to Dan.
Thank you. I absolutely support the Aquatic Center. For those of you who are generational Tracyites, you'll remember 20, 25 years ago, we had the Manteca water slides. They had that really fun commercial. a really catchy tune. But even ever since I was a kid, around that time, I was promised, just like every other youth in the city of Tracy, an aquatic center. And it's been 20 years and we still don't have it. And what I want the city of Tracy to know is that I hear you, I see you, and that I'm going to continue to fight to make sure that we get that. However, I think it's incredibly important that we're fiscally responsible with our city funds. These are taxpayer dollars, and we need to be using them effectively. If you recall, when we had the public meetings for the Tracy City Council, I made sure to hold the developers' feet to the fire. Their numbers inflated it such that it was incredibly wrong. And so we made sure that we limited the amount of funds that we could utilize for that particular amenity, because it's true. Measure V is for all the residents of the city of Tracy, and we need to make sure that we're using those funds effectively. I will continue to hold the developers and those who would maybe expand the budget out of control proportions and limit it to what we need here in the city of Tracy to really have a reasonable project so that everybody from youth to seniors and families can enjoy that particular amenity. It's going to be tough because particularly during COVID, there's a little bit of a cash flow problem. However, I'm really confident that at our upcoming meeting that we're going to be having, we're going to be looking at phasing the project. And with the Measure V funds that we have available, I believe that when we're phasing the project, we will be able to distribute the funding so that we can also finalize and complete Legacy Fields while simultaneously beginning the project to complete the aquatic center. It's going to be a bit of a tricky process, but I'm absolutely confident that we can do it. And I absolutely support the aquatic center. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right. We are going to go to question number 5. And Jazz, we're back with starting with you. Do you identify with a particular political party? I'm going to withdraw that question. It's from the community. I had it on our paper, but I'm going to withdraw that because to me it's irrelevant. And we're going to go on to the next question. The current city council members, by majority vote, prioritize the aquatic center as the #1 priority for amenities to receive Measure V funding. If elected the city, would you honor this decision? Let me read that again. I felt like it was almost the same question we just answered. A lot of you talked about Measure V. The other question was just about wanting an aquatic center, but a lot of you brought in the Measure V question. So let's go to number 7. We have so many, we're going to skip down since we just answered that. The city has been promising to build a lot of aquatic centers. Let's go to the next. People really want that aquatic center. I'm just saying. Here's one. Measure Y. What is your position?
Oh, lucky me. Got the best question first. Am I okay to go? Okay. So this is a very critical issue right now. I'm hearing my own self. Are you okay? All right. So I met with both sides of the group where I had the opportunity to speak to people on both sides of the group. And I want to say this very respectfully. It is a nice thing to have TOD. We need TOD, which means transport-oriented development. A nice presentation was done. There was no question about it that the presentation is nice. I did do some research over it. After doing the research, there's few things that were not quite openly discussed or disclosed in there. We are about a month away from the elections, and about 2 months ago, we got into this thing where people started talking about it. I think this is something that needs to be discussed. I don't like to oppose something completely just based on one side, but at the same time, this is people's choice. It's a measure that's coming on the ballot. You need to think about it. My position right now is I think it's a good thing, but it needs to be written properly. There is a lot of ifs and buts in there. The way it's written has some loopholes in there. So even if I oppose it, it doesn't mean that we are shutting the door on it. That's not the question. The question is it needs to be written in a way where an average person can understand it. There is question about infrastructure in there. Downtown is historical. Some people will say, where are those people going to go? Is there going to be gentrification? I was told there'll be no public domain done where, you just take the land from someone and say, you know what, the city wants to do something. Valley Link is a great project. We need that. We appreciate that. It's a huge thing. But the city doesn't have control over it. the abatement, it said it's about $100 million to take care of the land that is having some issues. We are going around measure A, which is slow growth. Again, I believe in development. I believe in smart development. I believe in development that's sustainable. My biggest thing is infrastructure. Right now, a lot of people are complaining about infrastructure. We are bringing that many homes in there. What are they going to look like? Are they all affordable, or what's going to go in? So I need a detailed thing before I go a total yes. I think it's a good idea, but I'm not totally in support of it right now. I respectfully oppose it for the time being.
Thank you, Jazz. All right, we're going to move on to Nancy.
Thank you. As a current council member, Mayor Pro Tem, we've already discussed this actually at the council meeting, and we have decided, as you know, to put it on the ballot. It's placed on the ballot for the Tracy residents to vote on and decide. So we've talked about some of the pros and cons, and I've been very verbal in my pros and cons of the particular measure that's on the ballot. There's a couple of things to look at. First of all, TOD is something that's important, and we are looking at Valley Link, and there's walkability. There's a number of things that are very positive about Measure Y. At the same time, I had questions about the UF1. And I don't want to keep saying at the same time, but simultaneously, it's important to understand that there's a number of things that I've worked on and I've helped to do over the years that I've been on council to help build up our downtown and to help make it a more vibrant place, more activity place, and with more restaurants and businesses, and it is bustling, and even to put in the lights there to make it even more beautiful. And I intend to work hard to continue to, bring up our downtown, our historic downtown. But I do have some concerns over the particular measure, but those are my personal concerns. I really feel that it's up to each and every resident to take a look at the project and to see, not the project, sorry, but Measure Y, and decide for yourself if you think that this is the best package. Because what I've learned, if nothing else, since I've been on the council, is that sometimes you get packages that's not the very best, but you make it the best for you or the best for your community. And so it's up to you to determine if the way that it's packaged now, it's the best possible now, or if it could be revamped. Maybe it's something that could be brought back later. I'm not sure. But at the same time, I think that it holds very good qualities, but then I think it has some things that cause me to pause. And so I'm just going to leave it at that, and I leave it to the Tracy residents to decide for yourself at this time, do we pass Measure Y?
Thank you, Nancy. Now we'll move on to Dan.
Thank you. I absolutely support Measure Y. This is transit-oriented development, and this is necessary for the future of our city. We skipped the political party question, caught that. But for those of you who don't know, Council Member Veronica Vargas and I are complete opposite ends of the political spectrum. But together, we worked on this from the dais and really developing the language. This is not a partisan issue. This is a pro issue for Tracy. This is good for Tracy. What this will help us do is really enhance Valley Link, bringing it here, increasing the economy, increasing the amount of jobs, reducing traffic, and we are going to be able to do that in part due to Measure Y. One of the components that we really worked on really diligently was the affordable housing component. So if you want to know the language, you can go ahead and look at the language of the initiative. However, you'll notice that 10% goes towards affordable housing, 5% goes to the average median income here in the city of Tracy, which is about $88,000. So what that means is 5% are going to be set at a particular limit that will be affordable for people who make $88,000. And then 5% will be set at 80% of that 88,000. So it's a little bit of a tricky numbers game, but those numbers for affordability are defined within the measure. So there's no question about it. For one of the very few times that I've ever been in the city of Tracy, we're bringing affordable housing, and that's a positive thing, especially for people who will live downtown and who would be actually utilizing Valley Link. Those are the people who would be living, working, and playing in our downtown without a car and utilizing Valley Link to get to their jobs, and that is positive for the city of Tracy. It's also really important we had that discussion with City Council related to additional infrastructure. We're talking about things like lights and roads, public safety, fire and police. Those are all done with impact fees. And as there's the enhancements of the population that would come with it, those are also a part of it, and we had that discussion. And when it comes down to it, this is democracy in action. We are bringing this to the voters because you get to decide. You get to decide if this is best for Tracy, and the next city council is going to be implementing that. And finally, I think it's really important if you have additional questions. This Sunday, Tika is going to be having a summit. It's going to be online where they're going to answer all your questions related to Measure Y. So go ahead and check that out with Tika on Sunday. But yes, I support Measure Y.
Okay. Okay. First of all, it's no for me on Measure Y. I don't support it. Whenever there is a measure that has got a non-binary choice where it says, you support it and there's no other choice for that, there's a bait and a catch. What is a bait? The bait is the housing market. Say I'm going to have a low density housing basically, or high density housing with apartments. Now you're creating a bait for that. People say, yeah, there'll be housing, we're going to vote for it. But the catch is only for a small group of people. The small group of people are the TCCA, which is called the Techa guys. I sat down in one of the meetings and I asked the question point blank. I said, what benefit you get out of it? And I was told that I own the property over here and it's a historical property. So you are asking the taxpayers to pay for the money for your historical property. And then at the same time, he's going to raise the rent on the people who are going to own the businesses over here. So my goal is vote no. Please go out and vote no for that. Because if you don't vote no, that yes, we'll have it even though they don't vote for it. So this is the bait and the catch on that. Secondly, and the other part that I want to see, I questioned them. They said 700 cars maximum. And I asked the question, if 700 cars come into that area, where is the traffic congestion? Oh, it will probably not many people come at the same time. Then why are we basically paying for it? My goal is let's build another downtown. Leave this as historical as it is. Make it as historical as it is. Build another downtown so that the younger generation can have their own way of building this place with the convention centers, with light, entertainment for the people, for the young people, with light shows, so that people can come and sit down in the evening and spend their time rather than going to a downtown that is basically can't even have a safety and security over there. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdul. Okay, so we are 1 hour into this. We are going to take a quick 5-minute break and go out, grab your iced tea, your water, your popcorn, or maybe a glass of wine, and we will be right back with you. Don't go. All right, well, welcome back, everybody. We're going to get started. Like I said, we're a little over an hour into this, and we had a great audience. Hopefully, everybody continues watching. I am going to go ahead and start with the next question, which we're going to start with Nancy. And that question is, what is your position on continuing outdoor dining?
My position on continuing outdoor dining? Okay, well, that's something that we haven't discussed before, but you know what? I think it's a nice ambiance, quite honestly, to be able to dine outside. While a number of restaurants have offered outside dining, for many, many years outside of this COVID-19 environment, there's people who enjoy eating outside as well as people who enjoy eating inside. Part of the downfall to outside is having to kind of compete with flies and other things that try to eat with you. And so that's the only downfall. I was very excited that our staff was very proactive in looking at ways to be able to help our downtown businesses and other restaurants throughout our city to be able to still function during this time, and to write in emergency ordinances to be able to allow that. So I think that it's a great option. I think at the same time, especially with the weather changing, whether it's too hot or whether it's too cold or whether it's too windy, it's good to be able to eat inside. But to be able to have the outdoor option, I think that's great. I know downtown, we put some things in place where it's one-way traffic. So that's something to consider. And that will be something that I haven't given any forethought to. So I don't want to speak on that yet. But as far as having that option, I think it's a great opportunity. It's a great idea to be able to do that. But I'm hoping that as we move out of this COVID-19, post-COVID-19, that we will be able to, reintegrate some of the other traditional eating. So that's my shortcut on that. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Nancy. All right, Dan.
All right. I absolutely support the continuing efforts to have outdoor dining downtown. I think it's been phenomenal. I think it's one of the few good things that's been able to come out of the COVID pandemic that we're all experiencing. And as a city council, I was really proud to join efforts alongside all of our city council to make sure that we did that to really support small businesses. And it's so important to the revitalization of our downtown area. And I can tell you, as a kid growing up here, we really didn't go to downtown. We went downtown to get suited up for your homecoming and prom, but that was basically it. And downtown has completely changed. It has revolutionized. And now it's truly one of the places where we can go to socialize and have a great time. On Friday and Saturday nights, it's bustling. Throughout the rest of the week, it's tough to get a table sometimes. And that's what I absolutely want to see in the future of my city and in our downtown. And I want to continue to support those efforts. That being said, I absolutely want to leave it up to the businesses and seeing what kind of efforts we can continue to help to make sure that they're getting through this pandemic, and also for afterwards, because believe it or not, this will end at some point. COVID will be over at some point, and then we got to get back to normal. And so I'm really looking forward to that ability to get back to normal. And I think that one of the beneficial things that we hopefully will do is to have those continued efforts to enjoy delicious food outside in downtown Tracy. And it's really been beneficial to the quality of life in our city. So absolutely support it. Thank you, businesses. And please let us know what we can do to further help you out. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dan. And we'll move on to Abdul.
I definitely support outside dining. And I don't know about many of you, but as a consultant, I have traveled around the world and been to cities like Paris or Milan, all these areas. They have got outside dining. Come at 5 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, the whole street is closed. People basically just walk over there, sit down and eat. You don't have to be in front of the restaurant. You can be sitting down anywhere. All you got to do is basically use your technology, order it, and the waiter brings you the food at your desk, and they're all marked. So as I said, now with the outside dining, let's interface with the technology that is around with you. Build up a huge canopy on top of the 10th Street, wherever there is outside dining going on. Leave it open space. People can drive in the daytime. Around about 6 o'clock, shut it off. Let people sit down and have it an open air environment where they can sit down and talk and eat, and they can sit anywhere and use your technology to basically order from the stores, and they know where the table is, they know where the patrons are sitting, and they know which restaurant is going to provide you that. They bring it over there and you sit down, you eat, you have your family get together, you have your social life at the same time, and then you walk out and move away from there. Those are things the city got to be looking into. Not that, no, I've given you an outside dining and you are businesses on your own, find out how you do it. You think outside the box. And outside the box is give them the environment to provide them the service from out to outside people. And at the same time, it's a time for the people of Tracy, the people who live here, go out and enjoy with the kids because they can move around, they can run around, they can sit around. It's an open space. There's no traffic over there, and you enjoy your time. Outside dining brings a lot of revenue also, and those are the small businesses that we have to look into how we can basically help them grow. Otherwise, they'll be on their own trying to figure out how to basically provide services to the people over here. And again, as I said, no, let's do outside dining, guys. When you want to go and eat, let's go out and eat and enjoy your time, have fun. COVID-19 won't be here forever, but let's give our small businesses time to grow and move forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Abdul. Jazz, we'll go to you next.
All right, so I am definitely in support of outside dining if somebody wants to sit down outside and eat it when it's mandated. That being said, let me explain why I'm saying what I'm saying. Tika did a great job in downtown. When everybody's talking about downtown, may I please reflect that we also have businesses other than just in downtown. Again, Tika did a great job. City did a great job with doing one-way seating and having outside beautifully done, nicely done, enjoyably done. That is good. There are businesses on other side of the town which are also on Tracy Boulevard and other places, Nagley Road, Kroll Hollow, a lot of places. So what happens when we have always focusing on outside dining? It's a personal choice. Right now, we don't have a personal choice because of COVID. There was no choice left. Either you do delivery or something, and then we were allowed to do outside dining. Just on Tuesday, the governor allowed 25% of the inside dining, which is good. Something's better than nothing, and that has helped small businesses. I totally support what needs to be done. It has to be done lawfully. It has to be done keeping everybody's safety and health issues in check. But at the same time, sometimes you have to look at the circumstances. When there was smoke outside and there was ash falling from the sky, even when you had canopies out there, the food was not being enjoyed by the people who wanted to have a nice lunch or dinner. What do? Can you bring them inside and make them sit 10 feet apart? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? So yes, I like to be a very strictly law-abiding citizen, but at the same time, being a business owner, I know COVID has hit small businesses the most and restaurants heavily on the restaurants. So yes, I support businesses sitting outside, restaurants having outside. Again, Tika did a great job, downtown doing a great job. For all the other businesses who don't have the space to sit outside, what do? So, keep your options open. Thank God we're open for 25% dine-in, and that's a good thing. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jazz. Okay, we're going to go to the next question, and we're going to start with Dan. As mayor, you lead the city council meetings. How do you plan to control the duration of the meeting? Okay. As mayor, you lead the city council meetings. How do you plan to control the duration of the meeting?
So how do I plan on controlling the duration of the meetings? Well, I think it's incredibly important. One of the first things that we did when I was newly seated on the city council was to enact a code of ethics and a code of meeting protocols. And I think what we really need to do is ensure that we're utilizing the meeting protocols effectively. There are opportunities that we can utilize along with Robert's rules of order so that we can have time limits, and we need to hold each other accountable. And I think one of the first things that we need to do for our newly seated city council is to have an introduction to the meeting protocols, as well as to the parliamentary official Robert's Rules of Order, so that everyone knows what it takes to make a motion and second a motion and how we move through the agenda. And one of the key components that we have is the opportunity to limit time. And so what I would suggest is that we limit each individual's time approximately, I'd say maybe 5 to 10 minutes. And then what we do have is, as a part of a motion, an opportunity to extend that time. So I think we need to hold each other accountable. And as mayor, it is the mayor's unique responsibility to maintain the meetings. And I am absolutely confident that I have the ability to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. All right, we'll go to Abdul.
I've attended quite a few council meetings. Some of them go all the way up to midnight, and people go home and they want to watch on channel 16. That has to stop. First of all, let's build our agenda to the point where we want to discuss things that are critical first, rather than putting them the last part of the agenda. And then give time limit. Like the people are given time limit, you are given 5 minutes or 3 minutes. And when the agenda is given out to the council members, please go and do your study. You are not there to basically ask questions to understand what is in the agenda. You go and do your study. As a mayor, I'll probably put a time limit on people. I say, look, if you are given an agenda of 4 days ahead, go and study, go and do your homework, so that you come and ask intelligent questions rather than the questions that are basically, finding out information what that is all about. The city people go out, the city staff, they do their own work, they give you a report. Based on the report, you go and do your due diligence, you come back with intelligent questions, get intelligent answers, give a time limit so that you can move forward with the agenda. I hate to see those meetings go to midnight. Midnight meetings don't produce anything. It's just rather basically, just passing things out as fast as possible so nobody can hear about it. I want people of Tracy to be there to understand what is going on. It is their city. Let them make the decision who is making right choices or not, rather than know when they are sleeping and you make a choice and it's all basically on the city people to take it from there. So time limits is one thing that I want to say. Secondly, the agenda has to be basically produced in such a way that so that important things are done first, and then the thing that needs to be passed out by for the city council, for the city staff, for the city requirements. Those are small stuff that can be passed by 1 or 2 people. But again, agenda, critical agenda first, and then we move from there with time limit. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Abdul. Let's go to Jazz.
Thank you, Tamara. Okay. So this is a very important question for everybody who's watching at home or who will be watching a rerun of whatever we are saying today. So again, respectfully, let's bring some civility and some class back to the city council. When I'm saying that, what I'm saying is when other people are watching our meetings, we are becoming a laughing stock. And I don't want to say this in a disrespectful way, but I'm saying this in a very practical manner. Because what happens is the staff is there since 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. and we're making them sit there with the council asking questions that could have been asked beforehand, and they could have done their homework before they came to the dais. Somebody's sitting there till 12, 12:30, quarter to 1. There's quite a few meetings that have gone to quarter to 1. If there's a time limit on the people who are speaking, the citizens have a time limit. There should be some kind of time limit. I understand discussions have to be made and decisions have to be made, which is all good. But at the same time, what are we doing when we're spending 30 minutes? One person is spending 30 minutes. Just recently, one of the council members got up and left. I mean, what are we portraying? We are there to serve the people, not to be served. Please spend, before you come there, no matter how big the agenda is, we all have the right to ask questions. And the council has the benefit of going to the city staff. And we have a great city staff, by the way. Everybody's doing a great job. That being said, again, there has to be some civility there. You cannot sit there with personal attacks. I'm not there for a popular, what you call a popularity contest. Oh, she's the most likable or he's the most likable. It's not that. Our job is to get the job done. We are there to serve the community in a professional way, get the job done, move on to the next thing. There are things being put on, things that have been delayed because people don't seem to understand the topic on the agenda, or something is so critical, but one person takes so much time, somebody else gets upset, somebody else says something, and they're like, I want to oppose that. I think it's very important people understand, no matter who's sitting there. I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just talking in general. Anybody who's sitting there, ultimately you are there to serve the public. And if the public is telling you to, do your job right, and if you cannot handle the job, that's a different story. But do your homework, come there prepared, and do not talk down to anybody. People have the right to ask questions. When people are asking you questions, you better answer them. And if you cannot answer them, then you shouldn't be there. And that being said, like I said, I agree with what Dan said, we have to have time limits and we have to follow the protocol. how to run a meeting, and a mayor has to be able to do that. One thing that's very important is you got to get along with everyone, and I do, and that's critical. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jazz. We'll move on to Nancy.
Thank you. As a council member, when I first got on council, after having sat in the audience for 4 years, I knew that we needed to actually put some limits on the comments that comes from the audience, because understanding what a council meeting is, it's a meeting held in public, and so we do get public comments that come to us. But it's a meeting for those on the council to make decisions, and some things are much more difficult to grapple with. Now, granted, in the 4 years that I sat in the audience, only one meeting went probably close to midnight. Part of the thing is that we have a lot of things that's on the agenda, but at the same time, I serve on several boards, and we have lengthy actual agendas. But the reality of it is, it really depends on how we work together collaboratively and every voice being heard, because we don't have limits, quite honestly, on any of the boards that I sit on. And we move through agendas very rapidly, very quickly, very concise. The thing is, one, as far as the code of conduct, that's something that I pushed for since I first got on the council. Unfortunately, we had just closed it out by the time that Councilmember Areola got on. But at the same time, the code of conduct, I'm so glad that we did have that camaraderie to be able to commit to doing that and to commit to the Roberts Rule of Order. And I absolutely agree that we need to have training. That's something that I pushed for. I pushed for every 2 years that we have training for all the council members as the new staff is coming on, so that we understand how everything works and we can work cohesively together. But the main thing is being heard. When I got on the council back 8 years ago, the leader that we had at the time that was the mayor was very collaborative. And because my voice was heard, I didn't have to keep saying things, repeating to make sure that it was heard. And so I think that's one of the things, to be able to respect one another, to be able to bring ideas together and collaboratively come to a solution that's going to be the best for the city. And when we can do that and not incite others to come and to bring negativity against different ones on the council, then we can move forward positively, constructively, and most expeditiously.
Thank you, Nancy. All right, we're going to start with Abdul. Next question is, what do you feel is the most pressing issue in the city today?
One of the most pressing issues we are basically in a city that has got 75% of our budget is used towards the salary of the people. And with every tax dollar that you pay for the property tax, we only get 20 cents out of it. As a mayor, I want to make changes to those kind of things. And we can do those changes by being a person not affiliated with anybody, without aspiration to go to a county supervisor position or a state senator position or a district representative position. My goal today is, and I'm telling you, I am not affiliated with any party, not taking part with any affiliate groups, not any special interest groups. My job is here to serve the people of Tracy. And that is the only thing that I want to do. So as a person who can serve the people of Tracy, I could basically go to the county and say, no, instead of giving us 20 cents, let's make 50-50, right? With 50 cents coming into our coffers, we can make a lot of changes in the city. Secondly, the 75% salary paid towards our city staff, it's a lot of money we're wasting. Let's use some smart ideas of how we can cut those costs. Use technology. 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, when you go up in the 11th Street, you see the city staff putting banners one day. 1 week later, they put the banners down again. 3 weeks later, they put another banner in there. 2 weeks later, they put the banner down again. Why can't we put some kind of technology where you don't have to send anybody, just put one click of a button, everything goes on. So we have to go back and look at the way things are being done and utilize technology to make things better. Because technology do cut a lot of our expenses and overhead costs. It might be more in the beginning, but in the end, it gives you a lot of savings. And that's the direction I want to see. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, we're going to move on to Jazz, if you can answer that question.
Yes, Tamra.
Yes, Tamra.
So I think it's
very important. It's very important that people feel that their voices are heard. That is my main concern. The quality of life. It's not our job to tell people how to live their life and how things should be turned on and turned off. As a mayor, I want to make sure that when people are talking to me or they are talking to us, I never want to use the word I, me, or it's all about me. It's about us. It's team effort. One vote cannot do anything, whether you're a council member or whether you're a mayor. My biggest concern is to make sure that the quality of life is good in the city of Tracy. When you talk about quality of life, that means law enforcement is there, fire department is there. We have the best notch, top notch fire department and the PD here. But also the public works. When you need something, little things, something falls, you call public works. We have a great city. To keep it at that level and to make it better, we always want to make sure that there is a connection. There is a disconnect. People think that the city governance or the city council or our elected officials, they're just there when they want to get elected and they say what people want to hear. And they go on and then, what happens to the accountability? What happens to the integrity? To me, it's very important to keep your word. Everything that you can do should be done in a legal way. But just because, you say something, it sounds good, and you just think, it sounds good and people will be with me. It's not easy to make the right choice. It's always hard to take the hard path where you have to do the right choice. It may not be the popular thing, but it'll be the right thing. It is to be for the greater good of the community. My biggest thing as a mayor, as a person on the city council, is first to get along with my fellow council members, respect each other, have civility, have some class over there, and then listen to the people. I'm the only candidate who will be willing to work on weekends if they don't have the time to talk during the council meetings. Thank you.
On to Nancy.
The most pressing issue in the city today really is focused around economic stability and recovery. More than anything, I'm out there walking and I'm talking to people and I'm getting calls, I get emails all the time. It's the uncertainty of what's going to happen with our economic future. Not only on a city level, within our city, we were already at a point of financial challenges. We already had that pre-COVID-19. That has extended and stretched us even further by the millions. And so if we don't get our financial house in order, which fortunately we do have a financial committee, a subcommittee working on some options right now to come back to the council for us to look at in great detail to help us get us on the right track. The thing is that it affects everything. It affects Measure V. Measure V that many of you voted for back in 2016 will be affected, and we won't be able to have the amenities that we need because it is a general tax if we don't get our financial house in order. Financially, businesses, small businesses, even large businesses have shut down during this time. People are unable to sustain their businesses, sustain their families, especially for those small business owners. It's taken a big hit for them. And even the larger companies, people don't have jobs. People who've been out of work for a long time. People are afraid of homelessness now because they don't know if they'll be able to catch up with their rent or their mortgage once things come back online. So right now, financial it's key because it affects every part of life. It affects your mental health. It affects students. It affects those who have even committed suicide because of lack of funding and not knowing what the future holds. So once we get our economic stability and recovery in place as a city, as for jobs, for our economic growth, we were on a great economic growth term that is now challenged right now. So overall, I would say absolutely economic stability and recovery is key for our city right now.
Thank you, Nancy. I just want to let everybody out there know that, yes, it will be available talking about tonight's forum. It has been recorded and we will be posting it so you can view it after if you are not able to finish watching tonight. All right, we're going to go on to Dan.
I didn't get an answer. Oh, okay. All right. The most pressing issue facing the city right now is look at where we're at. We're in a digital world right now. The most pressing issue is getting through COVID. It has ultimately fundamentally changed the way that we run as a city. It has fundamentally changed our households and our jobs. And it's so important that we get through together. And I'm absolutely confident that we will. But that is the most pressing issue that we have right now. Prior to COVID, the city of Tracy was facing a $2.2 million structured deficit. And during COVID, that has increased to approximately $12 million. And one of the issues that we had was the fact that we did not have a budget subcommittee to really get into the weeds, analyze the issues, and to potentially adopt policies to fix that. I'm really proud of the fact that I currently serve on the newly developed budget subcommittee to help bring back some strategies. I currently serve on it with Councilmember Veronica Vargas. Within the next few meetings, we're going to be bringing those strategies back because we need to make sure that not only do we go from the 12 million to the 2 million, but that we really get back to a balanced budget. And we need to realize that as we're looking at COVID, as I said before, we're going to get through this together. But what COVID has done is it's really demonstrated that there are particular gaps that we have as a city. So we need to make the best of a horrible situation and reevaluate and look at the gaps. And that's things like making sure that we have a balanced budget and also understanding that it is time for the city of Tracy to have a second hospital. So we need to look at those gaps, identify those gaps, and propose solutions, and then we'll finally get back to normal. And I'm looking very much forward to balancing the budget and to bringing in a second hospital and to really getting back to normal, because that's what the citizens of the city of Tracy deserve. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan. Okay, we are going back to Jazz. We're going to start with you. And the question is, what is your opinion on cannabis dispensaries coming to Tracy?
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Tamara, for that question. And yes, that question has been lingering on for quite a few years now. Way back when I was on the Planning Commission, we discussed about it, and it was discussed pretty much in detail. And then it went on the City Council, which was again delayed by, I shouldn't say delayed or postponed. Either way, you choose your word you want to choose. But it took extra 6 months of extension just to decide what we need to do. Long story short, it was approved. Yes, we're going to be having some dispensaries here. I think since it's been passed already, yes, we will have dispensaries, which is good for those who want to use it. We will get the tax revenue. So it's not something that is on the table anymore for us to discuss. It's already been discussed, and it's been approved, and there's going to be another measure coming up deciding on what kind of taxes can we do on the cannabis business. So that's again up to the citizens of Tracy to decide how to go ahead with that. But I think when a business is done in a legit way, as long as it's done legally and it's done in a manner that it can benefit everybody. I mean, not everybody uses cannabis, but the money will come to the city of Tracy. Like Dan was saying, we're going into a deficit. I literally think that it is, not that I use it or anything, but I have to say this honestly, that I think it's legalized. It's something that is, people were going to go somewhere else and spend the money. They might as well spend in the city of Tracy, and we can get some revenue from that. So I'm all right with that. I think it's okay. We took a few years to approve that, and finally it's here. I don't want people coming from other cities and, buying somewhere else, spending their money somewhere else. It's legal to do it here. We will do it here. We can have the dispensaries here. I support that.
All right, Nancy.
Thank you. Opinion on cannabis dispensaries has been discussed, of course, as council during my tenure there. So there's a lot of record you can pull up and hear my discussion on that. But obviously, I absolutely support us having dispensaries and other businesses here. It's an economic choice and decision. Yes, it is legalized within our state. And so there are other entities around us, other cities, the county, that already allow these particular businesses to come into their cities or into their areas. Before we made our decisions on how we were going to do this, we actually the council was invited to take a tour and take several tours of the whole process of cannabis. And I remember I'm just blown away the very first place that we went in, the dispensary, the numerous options that were given. And a lot of the discussion that we were able to have questions, and a lot of the information that we got really covered a lot of people that had health issues, not just for recreation, but it is legal for recreation as well. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there. I met a former police officer who was running a particular cannabis place because he was injured on the job, and then he left early, and one of his relatives actually gave him some cannabis and it helped him. And so that's how he decided to get into that business itself. So when I was out there, I'm looking for the Pookies of the world, I'm looking for the Ray Rays, but there was really business professional people out there running these particular entities. And so I totally support it. There is a Measure W, that's on the ballot now, so that we can, as a city, get tax revenue for it, so that we can actually look at the safety side of it, the code enforcement side of it, and being able to manage that aspect. And so without Measure W, no, the city does not get income from it. As with the sales tax, there's a whole different structure that's set up for that. So that's important to know as well. Thank you.
Nancy. All right, Dan.
I 100% support commercial cannabis here in the city of Tracy. I think it's a huge opportunity for our community. It was legalized with the passage of Proposition 64, and I actually went to the Registrar of Voters and got the numbers, and the city of Tracy had the highest percentage of voters throughout the county who were in support of the legalization of commercial cannabis. So I think that we need to hear the voice of the community, hear what you all are saying, and really understand that we need to make sure that we bring it here to Tracy. And as Mayor Pro Tem Young stated, we do have Measure W, and I absolutely would encourage all of you to vote yes on W's. Can provide an incredible opportunity. As I said before, I do serve on the budget subcommittee, and one of the huge opportunities that we're going to have to ensure that we have a balanced budget is to make sure that we have commercial cannabis taxed with Measure W. And so when we have that balanced budget, we're really able to provide more services to the community and ensure a better quality of life for everyone throughout the city. And I think that something that's very important is to realize that it's not just about economics. It's not just about quality of life. This is also a public safety issue. Most of you know that I've been a deputy district attorney for over 5 years. Prior to my time on the city council, I used to prosecute cannabis grows here in the city of Tracy. I prosecuted a lot of drug crimes. And what's important to know is that just because cannabis wasn't legal, people are still getting it. It doesn't just go away. And so unfortunately, though, where a lot of people are getting it from is from of these criminal actors, a lot of gangs. So we have a unique opportunity to cut the revenue streams of some of these illegal actors. And as they limit their revenue streams, they're going to be weaker. And that is really enhancing public safety. So this is a really multifaceted effort. It's good for quality of life. It's good for public safety. And it's good for our economy. So I absolutely support commercial cannabis here in the city of Tracy. And make sure you're voting yes on Measure W.
All right, thank you, Dan. Abdul?
Yeah, cannabis is, when this whole cannabis was basically passing through the city council, I stood up and I had few questions to the city council at that time. And I'm going to throw the same question out to the public right now to get their feedback. Number one question was, right, if we are basically traveling using vehicles are going through the city, can we have some kind of identifications on the vehicle that there are cannabis being transported through the city? In the event of an accident, the police knows what kind of response to take rather than they go over there and find out there's a whole lot of cannabis and there's a different way of picking them up. Secondly, what are the side effects of this cannabis? There is a lot of studies done by professionals and doctors around the world, and there will be side effects. It's a new industry, there will be side effects. So my suggestion to the city was whatever tax you get out of it, put aside certain percentage of a tax for the medical support for the people who are affected as the secondhand cannabis usage, because that will come eventually one day, and then the city will be sued because we didn't think about it. Let's think beyond what we are doing right now. Let's think outside this box and see what's going to happen 5 years, 10 years down the line, because my kid, my grandkid, your grandkid will be affected with the second hand of cannabis usage. For health usage, yeah, people use them for health. They stay at home, but they don't go out on the street and they start walking around. So recreational users, there should be restrictions where they want to use it, what place they want to use it, And who is basically going to look into that? Measure W is okay. Let's put the text, but let's put the text in the right place for the right people to use, rather than going into the coffers of the city and then we basically put in a general fund and then it's used for something else down the line. So let's vote on that, but again, put some restrictions on the council what they can do with the money.
All right,
Thank
thank you. Okay, we're going to start with Nancy. We're only going to do a few more questions. It's almost 8 o'clock. And I apologize that we're not going to get through all the questions. So the next question for Nancy is, now that the grand jury investigation has been completed, a code of conduct has been implemented, how are you going to assure it is followed?
The code of conduct that was passed by our council, it is a document, it's a living document that governs the body of people that serve our citizens. And so when I pushed to have this code of conduct, and unfortunately it had to go through the whole grand jury and everything for our voices to be heard from the dais, that it was made so that we'd have a governing document, not just for the 5 individuals that sat there, but actually for the 5 individuals that will in perpetuity sit on that dais. And so it's a governing document that, like I said, it's a living document. And so it's relevant. And so as things have been called up with it, just as the laws, some things are not really under that, and other things that should be added will be added, I'm sure, as we go along. So as far as the question, as far as how will I enforce it, or how will I'm sorry, I want to mix up what the question was. I absolutely support the code of conduct document that we have. And I support the gradual, the periodic review as we need to be able to add things to it and to be able to utilize it to govern our body as a whole. So that's the short of it. I agree with it. I'm glad that it's there. It took a lot to get there. And I think that it's a good start to be able to govern the body of council.
All right, thank you. Dan?
Thank you. I'm very glad that we were able to pass the code of conduct, and it's very important that we assure that it's followed. And I think that is one of the key and unique powers of the mayor of the city of Tracy. And we need to make sure that we have a strong leader there who's willing and able to utilize the procedures and protocols that we have available to enact to make sure that it's being followed. So I feel that, as I said in a previous question, it's really important that we utilize Rosenberg's rules of order, that procedural opportunity that we have to hold each other and one accountable. I believe that during my time on the city council, I have been able to make use of the rules of order. You will hear me frequently make points of order and object to things that I disagree with. And I think that we need to do that effectively. And the mayor has the unique power to do it. You'll notice that right there, the mayor has a gavel. I've only heard the current mayor use it once, I believe, but we need to make sure that we respectfully are supporting one another and holding one another accountable to make sure that that is being followed. And there is a protocol, and it does take a leader to make sure that it's being followed. In addition, what I would like to see also is the use of peer mentoring. And I think that particularly given that we have an opportunity with the possibility of 3 new council members, it's going to be very important that we hold one another accountable. But we've had problems in the past with, some animosity and tensions. And I think that this point in time has a unique opportunity to kind of reevaluate and rebuild relationships. And what I'd like to see is for the mayor, whose job it is to maintain order in the meetings, to, if there is a problem, to politely, outside of the public's, on their own personal time, to go ahead and talk to the council members and really see if we can work on peer mentoring to say, hey, there is a better way to do this, there's a better way to get your opinions across, and work with one another together collaboratively to make sure that we're being effective. And I think that in building those relationships, we really will be able to see a more effective meeting done. And that is something that I'm very much looking forward to. I've already started to reach out to city council members, knowing that regardless, I will be on the city council after the next election. I really want to rebuild and have positive experiences with other council members, and that's how we'll get through it. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dan. Abdul?
Code of conduct. First of all, why did we get to this position? Why did we have a code of conduct? What was the reason behind that? If you cannot respect each other, if you cannot basically understand what the other person is saying, you cannot basically respect the other people's opinion and decisions, don't be in the council. Don't let the council spend $500,000 on this article, this code over here, because the city spent money for this thing. And this is your tax dollar money. So if you are not behaving yourself in the council, you should not be there. Secondly, if you are coming in with a special interest behind you, then you're definitely not going to behave over there, because there'll be things decided that will be against your special interest group. That is the reason why I want to keep party politics out of this whole council. That is the reason why I am basically funded by the people with $5 each to go and represent them, rather than a special interest group who are trying to tell you what to do and what to pass over there. This is the reason why I'm coming in there, to make sure that we behave the way we're supposed to behave. We are answerable to our people, the people you are sitting down over there, the people who are paying the tax for us. We are answerable to them. We are not answerable to a special interest group, because the minute you start answering the special interest group, you will stand up and say, your behavior is going to change, because there is a thing that you have in your mind that if I don't support the special interest group, your next level in the political arena might not be there. So you have to basically support the people who has given you the opportunity to come down here. If you cannot behave, if you cannot respect, please stay home and keep city clean, and keep the council meetings clean, so that we don't have to go through this thing again. In far as implementing this, if I am the mayor, if people don't respect each other, I'll probably tell them, hey, no, this is not the place for you to be. Please go and cool yourself out and come back and sit in the meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Abdul. And then we are going to go to Jazz.
Thank you, Chandra.
This is a question that has more of an ethical issue to it, code of ethics, of course. My belief is not everybody's going to always agree with everyone. We are human nature. We cannot just be on the same page. We have the right to disagree. We don't have the right to disrespect anyone. We cannot have that power block when 3 people are on one side, 2 people are on one side, and they're making their personal agenda for the people. You are not there for your personal likings and disliking. Whatever it is between you or the person sitting next to you, you are just one vote. Doesn't matter who you are, you're one vote. You are there to represent the people, not to represent anyone that you like or you don't like. That being said, my main agenda right here, why I'm running, is I have been dealing with people one-on-one, not just because I'm a candidate, not because I'm campaigning, but even before that, I have volunteered at a lot of places, at nonprofits, at the hospitals, at the schools, having businesses where I meet with people one-on-one all the time. Young people, old people, retired people, teachers, veterans, especially business owners. You need to understand what they're talking about. You need to understand, just because, I always say this, just because you can do it, you shouldn't be just doing it. Just because it's legal, we do it. Is it the ethical thing to do? Who is going to stop that? I think the mayor's job is to make sure the meeting runs smooth. Everybody gets a chance to express themselves. That is very important. People get the chance to speak. The staff is not disrespected, and the council and the mayor are not disrespecting anyone. We have to bring order to the council. There's other cities who are as comparable as we are, around 100,000 people. Have you ever seen their meetings going to midnight, past midnight? Well, literally, we are having meetings every month, once or twice almost, when the meetings go past midnight. So code of conduct is very important. Follow the rules and regulations. If it's good for you, if it's good for somebody else, it should be the same for everybody. This is for the people. If you cannot be there for the people, you shouldn't be there, period. Again, I say this respectfully. You can disagree. There is ways to talk about it. Come to the table. We can always come to the table and discuss it. And that's very important, to keep the options open. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jazz. Okay, we're going to go to our last question, and then we're going to go into our closing statements. So we're going to start with Nancy on our last question, and that is going to be, what are we really going to do about the homelessness? I know we are building a temporary shelter soon, but what else? It's out of control.
I'm happy to answer that, but I started the last question, so I'm not sure if you wanted to go to Dan for that first. Yeah. So.
All right. So I think it's so important that we finally address the homelessness issue in our city. And I was really proud of the fact that I was able to make the motion to finally create a subcommittee, a homelessness strategic plan subcommittee, to finally figure out a way of how we're going to do this. And I'm really proud of the efforts that we were made. It took a little bit longer than we had anticipated, but we were able to finally enact a finalized product, and that was the Tracy Homelessness Strategic Plan. And we utilized a lot of community input. We had multiple meetings over a series of weeks with the people who actually engage with people experiencing homelessness each and every single day. So we had a lot of service providers and the local groups and organizations, the faith-based community, the business community. They were all brought in together, and they had an opportunity to work on this particular issue along with the staff for the city of Tracy. And then we did receive a grant where we were able to work with a consultant to help finalize this product. And I'm very proud of the product that we have. So what we determined was we have a 3-step goal strategy for dealing with this issue. The first one is figuring out how we're going to deal with the housing component. And what we did is we have a temporal timeline, and that includes a short term, making sure we have an emergency housing, which the council finally was the very last meeting able to pass. And that will be going live in approximately 3 months. We have a midterm housing program and a long-term goal that will hopefully solve the solution in the long term. With regards to number 2, it's about the wraparound services and the centralization of a navigation center. And that's going to be located currently next to the emergency housing shelter that has been approved. So what we're doing is, it's really tough if you're experiencing homelessness to have to be able to go get your ID and your food stamps and all these other little things that is difficult and that is a barrier to getting out of that situation. And so what we're doing is we're going to be bringing all those service providers together and putting them in one location so you can get those needs taken care of, while also addressing mental health issues and addiction issues, and so that you don't need to go to different places to get that done. And that's going to be done at a centralized navigation center. The third part is the law enforcement component. And what we're going to be doing is working with the Tracy Police, the Sheriff's Department, and the District Attorney's Office to really evaluate programs on how to make sure that we're getting people only through the criminal justice system that need to be there for crimes they've committed, because homelessness is not a crime. And I see that I'm running out of time. The fourth one is specific plans for vulnerable subpopulations like the youth and veterans, making sure we have plans for each of those folks. And I'm happy to discuss homelessness at length. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Dan. Abdul?
This is a great question, and it is very dear to me also. 2 minutes is not enough to give you an answer, but I'll give you a very high level on this one. 2 years ago, I sat down with a council member and asked them, what are your plans for homelessness? And I don't call them homelessness, I call them disadvantaged dreamers. Why I call them disadvantaged dreamers? Because homeless, they got into a situation they were not supposed to be there, and it was an unfortunate thing for them. The council member told me this is not a city problem. So first of all, we need to find out whose problem is this. Is it a city problem? Is it a county problem? Or is it a state problem? And once we have identified whose problem it is, then we address the problem. Right now, in 2021, and I know what city has given a shelter house, a shelter city right now. Council has approved it, great. But 2021, the state of California is closing a state vocational center in Tracy, completely built for those kind of environment. There's a place where that we can put the homeless, we train them, we get them out of there, because our measuring task should be how many people we get them out from these centers, rather than how many people we get them over there. And if we have a measuring stick to measure the success on that, I think we can basically be successful in this. The other thing is, when you go and apply for a job in any company, first thing they ask you for an address. If they don't have an address, how can they apply for a job? So this gives them an address to basically say, I live here, this is my address, they can apply for a job. So as a city mayor, I want to make sure that this homeless is taken from the state to the county to the place where the state is given as a vocational center. It's already ready made for this kind of environment. It's a vocational center. We take them over there, we train them, we build them, we bring all the services to them, rather than telling these people to go to the services, because they'll never go to a service. So once we have a confined area which is protected, secured, then we can take the services to them train them, build them, and put them back into the community where they can be productive. This is my goal, and this is what I want to do for the homeless people over here. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Abdul. Jazz, we'll go to you next.
Thank you. So again, this is one of the most critical questions also. A lot of people were asking that, and I think 2 minutes cannot do justice to the answer, but I'll make it as summarized as I can. Yes, we are having a shelter coming up. Good. Again, it's all about the grants and the taxpayers' money. There has to, I'm not on any task force. I don't have the privilege of being on any task force because that's going through the city council members. So I'm not going to debate on that. What I'm going to debate on is how many people have literally gone there and talked to these people. I have. I went to Pescadero Park and I've talked to people when they're standing on the streets and asking them, what is it that's making them homeless? There is different levels. You cannot paint everybody with one brush. One size doesn't fit all. It's very important that we understand the basics. When we're talking about helping someone, or bringing them to a shelter, what have we done in the last many years? People who have been on the council or people who have been doing whatever they claim to be doing, what are the measurable results? We need to have some sensible solutions. Things, I keep saying this, just because something sounds good on the book, something that sounds good to the ears, are they practical? Where are the results? I need to see how many people, I or the citizens of Tracy need to see how many people have been taken off the streets and put into a home or given a job, a sustainable job where they're bringing a paycheck home and they're being an asset to the community. How many of those have happened? I went to the Pescadero Park, spent some time, and I'm very glad that the police chief and the PD takes active part in that, and they go there and they spend some time there too. I literally spoke to people and I asked few people what was the condition. So you cannot just say not everybody's homeless because they don't want to work or they have a situation. Yes, there is mental issues. Yes, there is drug abuse. Some people have fallen through the cracks because of the medical bills. Things have happened in the family. Different people have different issues. We need to come together with a solution that works at different levels for different people. There are veterans that are out there who are homeless. There are solutions that are not all under the same roof. It's very important that we just don't keep saying that we're doing things through a task force. That is good. Kudos to those who are working on it. It's a lot of hard work. I'm not saying it's something easy. But ultimately, we have to come for long-term solutions. We are working with the city. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jazz. And we'll move to Nancy.
Thank you. For homelessness, it's something that's it's a personal issue. To be able to, be concerned and to care about other people. And the thing is that within our city, homelessness, first of all, was not even really addressed. It was challenged. Things were brought up at the council meetings, and when we had that 3-2 block, we couldn't really get any movement on it. It took a long time before our city would even acknowledge the fact that there was a problem. And by now you can see it's growing. And so one of the things that I was able to successfully get on our council strategies was to actually include affordable housing, because that is a direct nexus to a number of people becoming homeless. And so that is something actually now that we have to forward thinking, looking at right now, as far as when COVID-19, this whole season is over, when it's post-COVID-19, you will have potentially a lot of other people that will become homeless. So that is something that we need to be thinking about right now as a part of the strategic plan. I am excited that when we did come up with a subcommittee that I actually nominated Councilmember Areola and Councilmember Ransom to be on that committee to come up with a strategic plan. When I first got on council, I came to, I went to our staff. I sat in meetings actually with the different faith-based entities that were putting together warming centers and putting together food banks and feeding the homeless. And from there, personally, I took it to my church, and our church started doing the serving of food as well, trying to do what we can where we could. And I pushed and I advocated to be able to maybe look at facilities that we could give to the volunteers, the many volunteers that came to the council saying that they wanted to help with homelessness, and from there based on their experience. And so we have a strategic plan that's being put together. I'm excited to see how it's going to unfold. We just started the new parts, as Councilmember Areola mentioned, as far as the shelter and the different other components that will go along with that. So I'm looking forward to that and working with others within the community that have different ideas. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nancy. All right, I think everybody answered that question. I do want to address some questions that keep coming up about there are 5 candidates that are running for mayor. The 5th candidate, Jennifer Bilbray, did not confirm tonight, so she is not here. We are going to go ahead and go into closing statements. And let's see, I think Dan started with the last one. So we're going to go with Abdul, and you can go ahead and give a 3-minute closing statement. All right, thank you.
My friends, today you have heard and maybe seen the people here telling you what they can do for Tracy. I came here today to share with you my vision of where we can take the city in the next decade. This includes all of you. I want to bring this city back to you, the taxpayers and the rightful residents. Without you, this city will just be another name on the map. As you vote, either by mail or in person, think of where you want to take this city, not where a special interest group want to take you. As you vote, remember doing things the same way and expect a good result has not worked. You have the powers to take this city back to where you want to take. Vote for the new vision where you see yourself as a contributor and not a bystander. Vote with passion and vision, not what Tracy can do for you. Envision what you can do for this city to make it better, smarter, and enjoyable place to live, work, and play. Thank you. God bless you all. Let's go out and vote for everyone. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Abdul, and we'll go to Jazz.
Thank you, Tamara. I will take this 3 minutes and use it very wisely because this is very important that you guys decide what you want to do with your ballots very wisely. I usually don't like to brag about myself. My friends always keep telling me, you need to tell everybody what you do. What I do is I'm here for the people. I am a business owner, been in Tracy for 20 years. I volunteer a lot. To me, it's very important that we bring dignity back. It hurts me to see when other people laugh at us, or we are a laughing stock when things happen at our council meetings and we get in the news for something that we're not always we will be in the news for good reasons, but we don't need to be in the news for bad reasons either, most of the time. That being said, let me tell you what I bring to the table. I bring decency and I bring what people call is mutually respectful relationship, a professional relationship. I don't have any favorites. I don't have no personal agenda. I am here because of you. It's not about me. It's about you. When we're talking about campaigning, simple thing is to do is talk to people when they're not campaigning. Are they out there talking to you? Are they out there spending time with you? Are they out there in the time of need? Are they out there listening to what your needs are? Campaign time, everybody will be there. So that being said, the other thing is follow the money. When you look at my campaign contributions, you'll see that about 85% of my contributions are local from business owners. My smallest contribution was $5 coming from a young girl who gave me her pocket money. Why? Because she said that I can talk to you. I can talk to everyone. I don't have no bias. I don't have no special interest. I don't have nothing that somebody can say, Jazz, I wrote you this much of a check, so you're answerable to me. I am not answerable to anyone, but only to the citizens of Tracy. I respect everyone. I get along with everyone. I don't have no personal agenda. I keep saying that my agenda is Tracy. We need to work together. Tracy is a beautiful town. We are not perfect, but we strive for excellence. Even if you don't agree with me, even if you don't like me, work with me. I'm willing to work with you. Is there anybody else who's offering you that I'll work on the weekends? This is a commuter town. You cannot come to the meetings from 7 o'clock. God forbids you have to sit there till 12:30 just to have the items from the audience that comes your way around 12:30, and then you said 3 minutes, you're over. I am here for you, for the city of Tracy, to bring it to the next level. Let's be fiscally responsible. Let's be for the citizens of Tracy, not only when it's campaign season, but also when there is a need. I am out there. I'm very accessible. It's jazz2020.com. I'm the one person who does the 9/11 every year since 2002 to bring the community together. Thank you to the law enforcement and the fire department. We have both top top notch. I'm definitely not gonna ever gonna say even something close to that says defund the police. I'm here for the law enforcement. I'm here for the people. I'm here to say that, you know what, Tracy belongs to you. Let's get together. It's all about working together respectfully and in a professional manner. That being said, thank you so much. God bless you. God bless the United States of America. Good night.
Thank you, Jazz. And we'll move on to Nancy.
Thank you. I really have enjoyed this conversation. I had many thought-provoking questions. I believe that as mayor, it's very important because that role as leader sets the tone for the entire team. And collaborative leadership is what I promise to bring. I've always been that collaborative person. I believe that hearing everyone's voice, not only every single person on the council, but the audience, our community, our staff, it all makes up the answers that are best for the city of Tracy. And I believe that hearing our voices is going to make us stronger, and utilizing those voices will make us better going forward. My vision really is to amplify the city's mission and vision, which is to make Tracy an even better place to live, to work, and to play. To live, first of all, two of the reasons why I moved to Tracy was for safety. And it's very important that we are not only safe in numbers, but that we feel safe. And also I moved here for affordability. And we need to be able to have all kind of housing types for all different people. Everyone's not looking for affordability. Some people may want that higher class house on the hill, and that's fine. But then there are others that need that affordability and have young adults, children, as I do, who have grown up and need to be able to have their own homes. And then also to work, to be able to bring head of household jobs here to Tracy, and also to play. As I've mentioned many times, I've championed Measure V, to be able to bring those amenities. It's not about just talking about something, but about doing something about it, and about availability, being available at all times. I've been available at night, on the weekends, all the time. Accessibility is important, and honesty. You always see me talking to the everyday person, because everybody makes up our community. The community is our commodity. It's not even a commodity, I'm sorry, but it's really the community, each and every individual of Tracy. It makes it important. It makes our city. It makes it up. And we need to keep that in mind. And so when you do go to vote, remember, vote purple, vote for Nancy Young, for Tracy Mayor, because your voice absolutely matters. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nancy. And now we will go to Dan.
Thank you. It has been the honor to serve you as a city council member and to serve you as a deputy district attorney. And I would like to continue to devote myself and commit to the citizens of the city of Tracy. And I am very proud of the efforts that we've been able to make during my time on the council. We've seen some of the most innovative policies that we've seen in years, from things enacting the first ever homelessness strategic plan, the first affordable housing unit in 20 years, the legalization of commercial cannabis, the bringing of green renewable energies, the raising of the LGBT pride flag for the first time ever, and the enacting of historic equitable policy to ensure that everyone is that all city policies are equal for all, that all city programs are equal for all, and that was the key component of the Empowerment and Equity Initiative. I see a future that is innovative, and I think that the biggest things that we're going to bring to the table are new innovative policies related to, one, public safety, and finally ending homelessness and ending neighborhood violence. Two is rebuilding the economy and infrastructure. We need to be bringing Valley Link to Tracy. We need to be investing in green renewable energy and targeting jobs that are innovative in things like we have done with commercial cannabis. Three, with government accountability, we need to finally work on balancing that budget and increasing transparency. And four, with workforce housing, it's time that we build that middle class affordable housing and really focus on smart growth. So if you're focused on effective governance and innovative policy and a future for all, then I would ask that you vote for Dan Ariola for mayor of the city of Tracy. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Dan. Well, that is it from our candidates, and I appreciate everybody watching tonight. We are still have coming up our county supervisor forum, and we will be changing the date on that. I found out that we're good? Oh, okay, I've been told we're good. Never mind. So that will be on October 8th. And so we will, again, hope all of you join us to watch. I want to give a special thank you to Workvine 209 for doing all this and letting us host this here tonight. I want to thank the Tracy Press, and then I want to thank the staff of the Tracy Chamber of Commerce, and they put in a lot of work tonight too. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, candidates. We appreciate your time. Good night.